Hello, and welcome back to Wyoming Watch, the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle's weekly podcast. I'm Ivy Secrest, your crime and public safety reporter. This year, one of Cheyenne's most well-known nonprofits, Day of Giving, will host its largest annual event for the first time without founder Greta Morrow, who passed away in November of last year. Morrow was often described as the heart and soul of the organization, which serves as a resource for other local nonprofits, collecting food, toiletries, clothing, cash, and any other essentials that nonprofits need throughout the year. This week, I spoke with Day of Giving Board President Samantha Schol and Vice President Brady Koerwitz about the upcoming event and how they're managing without Greta. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming in to talk about Day of Giving.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Day of Giving is pretty well known in Cheyenne, but for those of us who might not be super familiar, give me the rundown. What is Day of Giving? What's coming up?
Sure. So this is our 21st year. So it was founded 21 years ago by Greta Morrow, but we just lost Greta this last year. But she was the heart and soul of our organization. So she retired from teaching and she just saw a need in our community. So she started Day of Giving. And the whole idea of Day of Giving is to support all the other nonprofits in town. Not all of them, but we support 12 different nonprofits here in Laramie County on a monthly basis. So most people know a Day of Giving for our annual event. That's when we ask the whole community to come out. It's a full year of commitment to these other nonprofits. Between us, we're all volunteers on the board, and we have to raise about $60,000 a year just to be able to keep the same budget we have for the other nonprofits. So the whole idea of it is every month, the nonprofits that we support come to us with a list of items that they can't afford with their own budget. And then we go and purchase those items for them. So we don't give them actual cash just to use as they want to, but they come to us and, for instance, Camilla may say, we need 500 jars of peanut butter this month. Or we just had a freezer go out and we need a new freezer, or just stuff like that, and then we go shop for them. So every month we'll reach out to them and ask them what their needs are that month. So it's just an incredible organization that's a nonprofit that supports all the other nonprofits in town.
I would say typically our nonprofits are funded through grant programs or other support in the community, and oftentimes those items are designated what they can purchase, and so that's where we step in and help them get those items that aren't a part of that normal budget or approved through that grant process, such as those freezers for Comia or eyeglasses for a client that might need them that is out of their budget.
You mentioned Greta, the heart and soul of this, the founder. It is your first year without her, and I know that's a huge loss. What has it been like planning for this first year without your founder?
It has definitely had its challenges. We had a former board member who always said that maybe we should do little videos of Greta and all the things that she does to contribute to our organization. And looking back, I really wish we would have done that. There is so much that she did individually that we were not fully aware of, to the extent of the time, the dedication, the one-on-one conversations where she would go to businesses and directly ask for donations to support us. She was well known in the community, and that is difficult to fill those shoes. So it has been a challenge. In the same sense, the people that she has connected with throughout these years have shown up sometimes in more ways than previously and asked to join our board or asked how can they help further than what they have in the past.
There was a few of us, Samantha and myself and a couple others, that took over the fundraising committee, and we just had no idea how much Greta did in that way. So, I mean, we're a little bit younger generation than Greta, so we're used to fundraising for businesses and that's kind of how we're doing it. You put together a sponsorship letter and you say, here's what your $500 sponsorship gets your business as far as advertising and marketing, and here's what your $1,000 sponsorship does. And that's what we're used to being in business. Whereas Greta, she would walk right in there and she'd have a personal relationship with someone in that business, and she would sit down there face to face and just tell them about Day of Giving and make them feel what their donations were going to. You know, here's how your donation directly affected this particular person. And we're just not Greta. We just don't do it that way. We don't know how to do it that way, you know. So that's been a big change. Partly trying to figure out who all of her contacts were so we can reach out to the same people and ask for their continued support. Then also, I mean, Greta didn't care if somebody donated $2 or $5, you know. She was all about, like, it all adds up. It all goes to help somebody. You know, we may not see the back end of it, but this person who got this meal that hasn't eaten in 3 days, like, that's where that $5 went to. It's been tough for us to follow in those shoes. So, but like Samantha said, especially like the church congregations that she was very involved in, they've very much stepped up to say, hey, we know Greta's gone. We appreciate you guys trying to step in and keep her dream alive for Day of Giving, and we're here to support you.
And I feel I also have to jump in and say thank you to Greta's family. They were very quick in time of their grief and loss to recognize that she played a pivotal role in Day of Giving and offered to give us items that were in her home that we would need to continue her legacy. And it was very nice to see that in their time of grief.
Incredible. Greta's dream was pretty simple, wanting to just support people in the community as much as possible as they supported her. But it's grown quite a lot. Tell me a little bit about where did we start with Day of Giving and where are we now?
I've been on the board for, I think, 8 or 9 years. So it's all stories that I hear from before. But the very first year we put on the Day of Giving event, we filled up the back of a pickup truck. That's what we got in donations. And from what I understand, Greta was ecstatic about that, and just comparatively, I mean, last year our total was 26,000 pounds, I believe. I mean, just an incredible outpouring of support. It's grown every year. And like you said, most people hopefully know what Day of Giving is and know how we support all the other nonprofits with what people donate. Just the actual event itself has gotten huge, which is great.
And when we're looking at who in community we're supporting, why does it matter to have that many donations for a relatively smaller community like Cheyenne?
Like I said, every month we support 12 nonprofits with our budget. But then for the actual event, I believe there's 16 total that we support. They staff their nonprofits fully that day because they know that they're going to be getting deliveries all day long. So like I'm in charge of delivery drivers that day. So kind of the whole idea and how it all works is that every time somebody from the community pulls up in front of the Kiwanis house, one of our volunteers will meet them outside. They'll unload their vehicle, they'll take it inside, and then we've got a list of what all the different nonprofits are needing. So we've got a list of what everybody wants, and then we've got all these sorting tables. So the actual event's really fun to watch because there's about 60 volunteers that we have in there, and they're sorting for those nonprofits. And then every time they sit there and they fill up a whole box, then I'm watching from the other side of the room, and as soon as one particular nonprofit, say Needs, has 15 boxes that are all packed up, I get a delivery driver, we fill up the whole back of the truck, and we deliver it to them. We keep that cycle going all day long. By the end of the day, every single thing that's been donated has been taken to a nonprofit, which is incredible.
As Brady mentioned, there's so much that we bring together from the community, but until you're a part of it and witnessing it, you truly don't know how much is needed. I can't tell you how many jars of peanut butter we purchase for St. Joseph's Food Pantry every month, and that's a reoccurring item that we will purchase for them. And so the community needs are large. We have a lot of different individuals facing different crises, and they all need support. And without the congregations coming together, the community coming together, it really doesn't move forward. And even this year, we're adding another nonprofit at the day of event to support because the need is still out there for our community.
If I'm sorting through my pantry in the next few weeks and going, wow, I have an ungodly amount of beans and I'd really like to get rid of them, are those the type of things that you're taking, or what are you taking from people?
Yes, absolutely. So non-perishable food items is one of our biggest requested items. Another common request is for new packaged socks or underwear for women and men. In addition, craft items, and that can be a variety of craft items, but those go to a couple different of our organizations that we support. In addition to that, we will take toiletries. Both travel size and full-size bottles are needed as they go to different agencies that we support, and they do different aspects with that. Beyond what we need, there is a need for the community to be able to recycle or donate used medical equipment or supplies that they don't know what to do with, and there's not a place really in town to take those. So Good Health Will comes up from Colorado and helps take those, and a lot of individuals will collect those until our annual event, as there's not a place they can take those.
This year, we're really excited that we're bringing back our blood drive. So that's been gone for the last couple of years, but this year we're bringing that back, and Vitalant has been great to work with so far. So they're going to have their mobile blood unit there. So we used to do that for years. You'd come in, we'd ask people to donate blood, do their donations. We will always take monetary donations, of course, but if they don't have the money to give, they can still find a way to give. So we're excited to bring that back this year.
And what enabled you guys to bring it back?
It wasn't getting enough donors before. That Vitalant, they had a lot of staff and they were setting up inside, and there just wasn't we never hit the numbers, the metrics that they wanted to hit by sending that many staff over. But this year, our new Vitalent rep we've been working with has been advertising it a lot. There's now QR codes that people can sign up with. He's giving a $20 gift card, I believe, for any donor. We've just been trying to market it better this year.
We were actually connected with Eric with Vitalent at the volunteer fair back in January that was hosted at the Senior Community Center. So that's where we made the connection, and he inquired about how can we bring it back because he wants it to grow for us, and he wants to bring more people to the community house for us on that day. I think we have a goal of 15 donations, if I'm not mistaken. But if we get folks to sign up in the upcoming weeks, Eric said he'll have enough time to bring some extra staff so that we can exceed that number.
You know, we've talked a lot about the day of, what goes into the day of, delivering things, receiving donations, setting up blood draw station, which is quite involved. What goes into this day during the rest of the year?
So as Brady mentioned, we are a volunteer-based board. So we meet monthly to come together and discuss what is going on. Within that board, we have different committees. We have our agency committee, which I'll get into in a moment. We have our fundraising committee that Brady already highlighted, that we focus on how can we raise funds to continue our daily operations. We have a marketing and social media committee, and it's all just time and effort that we donate. But our agency committee is out there. It was a team of 3 before Greta passed, and then it became a team of 2, but we're growing that to a team of 4 here in the near future. But they go out and they receive those lists from all of our agencies that we support on a yearly basis and go do the personal shopping for those. Then in addition to going to Walmart, Sam's Club, making purchases online, they will then take those items to those agencies, unload them there, make sure that they're signed for, and then repeat that process. So currently the 2 individuals who have been working hard on it have 6 different agencies that they're both individually supporting, which takes their time and dedication, which I can't even put a number of how much time they actually put into that, but I know it's a full-time job for them.
And I guess just a couple things to plug. Our biggest fundraiser for the last couple of years has been a gun bingo event. It's a joint fundraiser for Cheyenne Family Promise and for Cheyenne Day of Giving. So that's normally on the Saturday before the Super Bowl. And we have it at Archer, and it's literally playing bingo to win guns, which was just super fun.
It's very Wyoming.
Very Wyoming.
Yes.
we kind of stole it from Torrington because we went to their gun bingo event, and then we were like, there's nobody doing this in Cheyenne. I bet this would go over very, very well. And it has. It's been a huge fundraiser for us. So if you see our gun bingo flyers next year, come to our gun bingo event. But then the other thing I wanted to plug is the all-day event is on May 8th, but then I'm in charge of running the youth event on Thursday, May 7th. All the youth event is a mini version of the adult event. So we don't have the blood donations there, we don't have Habitat there, or the used medical equipment. So all we're collecting for the youth event are non-perishable food items, toiletries, and craft items. But last year, that youth event in 3 hours, it goes from 3:30 to 6:30, and over 10,000 pounds of our total came from the youth event. This is like the 7th year I've been running it, I think, and it's completely run by youth, which is just really cool. Like we're trying to show that it doesn't matter if you're 13 years old or 60 years old. Like with some effort, you can make a huge difference in somebody's life. So the youth event's incredible. It takes about 50 youth volunteers.
Wow, and do you typically hit that 50 number?
I do.
Kids are interested?
So I've kind of made it easy on myself.
Sure.
In the beginning, we would have an online sign-up link, and we'd put it on social media. You'd get 1 kid at a time, and I was always super stressed out because it's the day of the event, and I'm still 20 volunteers short. So I partnered with the Mayor's Youth Council here in town, and they've been incredible. So I start meeting with them in March, and kind of the first thing I tasked them with, they're all very go-getter kids, very ambitious. So when I first meet with them in March, I asked them to reach out to every single school in Laramie County. So each of them takes a few different schools, and they reach out and they are asking the schools to run pre-event drives for the event. So we've had some really creative schools over the years. It's typically like the head of the student council. The student council will run like a spirit week where every day the kids get to dress up in a different costume and they bring in some sort of food item. And then at the end of that week, everything that got donated, everything from the kids in the school gets taken to the youth event, which is the same thing we do with our congregations. So all of the church congregations that we partner with, so many churches run pre-event drives. So they're asking their congregations to make like a toilet paper mountain or paper towels or have some sort of goal in mind as to what they're collecting, and then all of that gets donated at our event.
We've talked a lot about the people who put in the effort to put this on, the kids who show up, the different communities in town, or even industries that are showing up. What is the need? Who are we showing up for in Laramie County?
You're showing up for the 16 different nonprofits that we support that day. So, it's a really big list. It's Needs and Camilla Shelter and Cheyenne Family Promise and St. Joseph's Food Pantry and Salvation Army and just all of those nonprofits that are out there supporting everybody else. That's who you're supporting, So that's why I think Cheyenne Day of Giving is so cool, because it's just through our nonprofit, you're supporting all the other ones.
It goes to help those that are homeless, that are experiencing some financial crisis. Maybe they're just struggling to get food on the table, and then we're providing resources and avenues for them to partner with our agencies and have more accessibility to that. Because if we didn't do that $60,000 in fundraising a year, that's $60,000 less that these agencies have to support our community that's in need. In addition, there's still gaps of resources in our community. I mentioned earlier we're bringing in a new agency to support this year on the day of, which is Making a Difference, that was launched. And Making a Difference is trying to help anyone who is in need that maybe doesn't fit the criteria of some of those other agencies that we support. And they're in need of bottled water because they go to the depot on Sundays and hand out bottles of water to those that might just need it.
Well, I think, we've really well covered all of the many facets of the Day of Giving, bringing it back to Greta and kind of this motivation and heart and soul of this organization. Do you guys feel like you're properly carrying forward the dream?
That's a great question. I know that the community cares about Day of Giving, and I know they care personally about Greta. I know, I'll speak for myself, that I carry this heavy weight of, are we showing up enough and doing her justice? Because I don't want that to fail. And throughout this year, we have seen a lot of change, a lot of growth in some ways, and a lot of ways that we know we have to fill in those gaps that Greta had. So I definitely don't want to let her down, as I know she had so many people that she said that after she was gone, she wanted to make sure that the Day of Giving carried on. And those are big shoes to fill. And I know I feel that pressure, and I'm sure the rest of the team does too.
We've really been trying to figure out the best way to commemorate Greta, and we're having such a hard time with it because we're like, should we do a statue for Greta? Should we, do something extravagant, which she is very well deserving of, but she would rather us take those funds that would have gone towards a statue and give it to a nonprofit, give it to somebody in need. So we haven't figured out the perfect way to commemorate her yet, but we will.
Is there anything else that you guys would want the community to know, things that we didn't touch on for whatever reason?
I feel like when we were talking about the youth event, and I was saying I've made it easy on myself by not asking for individual volunteers. But I do want to mention my entire second shift has been filled for the last 6-7 years by the Wyco softball team. I just want to give them a shout out because they've been incredible. I literally reach out to Carrie Barker, who's the coach, and she's like, absolutely, I'll have all my girls there.
In addition to that, we spoke highly of our board in terms of the volunteer and efforts they put. We have VIPs, very important people, that also support this. So although they might not be a part of our board on a month-to-month basis, they show up for yearly efforts or even the day of efforts. If we didn't mention them in some sort of way, I don't think we would be doing justice by their efforts, because they just do it because they care and they want to be involved. And to that point, if we didn't recognize Walmart for their volunteers, especially the Walmart distribution, they provide almost 40 of our 60 volunteers directly, in addition to providing carts and everything to help with the ease of it. But it is really cool to see them come out and support too.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now, here's Taylor Staples, our arts and entertainment reporter, here to give us a roundup of some of the upcoming events in the area this week.
Today, April 17th, there are library to business drop-in times from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Laramie County Library, as well as day 2 of a living room conversation session on eco-responsibility from noon to 1:30 p.m. also at the library. Then, the Cheyenne Home Show takes place today, tomorrow, and Sunday from noon to 6 p.m. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. respectively at the Event Center at Archer. Later, there will be a Fur Ball 2026 fundraiser for the Cheyenne Animal Shelter from 5 to 10 p.m. at Little America, and a Thanks for the Memories concert featuring War the Band at 7:30 p.m. at Cheyenne Civic Center. Lastly, the Laramie County Community College continues with the first weekend of their production Naked Mole Rat Gets Dressed, The Rock Experience, both today and tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Surbrook Prentice Auditorium at LCCC. Tomorrow, April 18th, there's a Cheyenne Audubon field trip on sage grouse viewing in Roger Canyon from 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. People will meet at the Wyoming Game and Fish headquarters. Then there's a farmer's market from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cheyenne Depot, TechCons 2026 from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at LCCC's Flex Tech building, and a painting class where people can illustrate Wyoming's state flower from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens. Also, there's a fantasy festival event called Heroes in Training from noon to 2 p.m. in Holiday Park, a session for the 250th speaker series titled Women During the Revolutionary War from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Historic Governor's Mansion, Carriage House, and a songwriting workshop from 2 to 3 p.m. at the library. Lastly, there's a story time and performance with Sam Wheelock for adults from 5 to 7 p.m. at the library. On Sunday, April 19th, there's a K-pop kids party from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Lincoln, a Cats and Coffee Connections painting event at Graffito from 1 to 3 p.m., and a Cheyenne organ concert at 2 p.m. at the Cathedral of St. Mary. On Monday, April 20th, there's a Choir Queen sing-along concert at 7 p.m. at the Lincoln. On Tuesday, April 21st, there's a Senior Planet Tech Tips for Disaster Preparedness workshop from 10 to 11:15 a.m. at the library, a Discover and Discuss talk about the Year of the American Indian from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Cheyenne Frontier Days Old West Museum, a Cheyenne Audubon program talk revolving around armchair birding in southern Peru at 6 p.m. at the Wyoming Game and Fish Department headquarters, and a Meditation in the Mind session about healing and restoration from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the library. On Wednesday, April 22nd, there's a Voice in Verse National Poetry Month gathering from 6 to 7 p.m. at the library. And finally, on Thursday, April 23rd, there's another Thankful Thursdays highlighting Mended Hearts Chapter 123, with doors opening at 4 p.m. at the Lincoln Way Event Hall. Also, there's a workshop on crafting pasta and crackers from scratch from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens, and another night of LCCC's production, Naked Mole Rat Gets Dressed, The Rock Experience at 6 p.m. in the Surbrook Prentice Auditorium. For the full list of events, go to wyomingnews.com/calendar.
In the headlines this week, Governor Gordon announced Thursday that he will not be seeking a third term. He intends to remain highly active until his successor is sworn in next January. The announcement ended months of speculation over whether he would attempt to challenge the state's gubernatorial term limits. Authorities evacuated neighborhoods surrounding F.E. Warren Air Force Base Thursday morning while investigating a suspicious package near Gate 1. Within a few hours, authorities were able to determine that the package was not a threat to the public, lifting the evacuation. Also, Microsoft announced its intent Tuesday to purchase 3,200 acres of land south of Cheyenne for data centers. The expansion would effectively triple the tech giant's physical footprint in and around the capital city, building upon a presence that began in 2012. And retired Cheyenne attorney George Powers filed a formal complaint Monday against Wyoming Secretary of State Chuck Gray, alleging that there is, quote, reasonable basis to believe that Gray violated state election laws by sharing Wyoming's registered voter information with the United States Department of Justice. Should the complaint result in an investigation, and should Gray be found to have violated the law, he could risk losing his position as Secretary of State. Gray has maintained that he complied with a lawful request, referring to the accusations as, quote, Trump derangement syndrome. Thank you again for tuning in to Wyoming Watch. Tune in next week for more local news.